Hello and welcome. My name is Ella, and welcome to the Awesome Girls Read Along. The Awesome Girls Read Along series brings your favorite books to the screen and lets you read along with authors. So today we're going to be reading along with Doreen Cronin for her best-selling book, Click Clack Moo. And we're so excited to have you guys here today. So you guys are joined either through your computer or through an app on your phone, but either way, if you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the chat log. You also have tabs on the right-hand side of your screen, and I highly recommend you check those out at any point in time during this presentation. There's a ton of cool resources there. So like I said, I'm Ella. I'm an Ambassador Girl Scout, and I'm going into my 11th year. I'm from Arizona Cactus Pine Council, and I think my favorite thing about Girl Scouts is how it levels up and gets cooler and cooler as you go. So when I was a Daisy, it introduced me to a lot of things I love, like camping and community service. But now I get to do really cool things like speaking to you guys today, and I've done travel with Girl Scouts. So I think it just always gets better. So, like I said, I'm in Arizona, and you guys are basically all across the US, which is so cool. So today, all you guys are going to need to follow along with this are your listening ears. And before we start with the book, I just want to give you guys a quick introduction because Doreen Cronin is such an amazing author. She's written a ton of fun series. The one that we're going to be reading from is the Click Clack series, Click Clack Moo. It also has one of my favorite books, Duck for President, in that series. And if you guys want to learn more about her, go to DoreenCronin.com. So without further ado, Doreen Cronin.
Thank you so much, Ella, and thank you, Girl Scouts, for inviting me to read with you guys today. Like Ella mentioned, I am in sunny Brooklyn today. Actually, I don't know what she did, but I am in Brooklyn today, and I'm so excited to be here and still get a chance to read with you guys all over the country. So what we're going to read today is Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type. Before we read it, I wanted to say two things. The first thing is there is a part in this book that I'm going to say over and over again as I read. And it sounds like this. It goes click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. You're going to hear it more than once, and you're actually going to hear it more than twice. If you want to join in at home while I do that, that would really make us all feel like we're kind of in the same room. And I think it's a really, really fun thing to do because we really are all going to be in this moment and in this story at the same time. So before we go into the book, we're going to look at the cover of the book because it's the first thing I always do when I get a new book or when I read books with new readers. So let's look at it and see if there's anything that we recognize and anything that we might not recognize. So I'm pretty sure you know cows. They look familiar. And I'm pretty sure you know what a duck is and what a duck looks like, and what a chicken is and what a chicken looks like. But what is this thing? I'm going to bring that up a little bit closer. That's a typewriter. And a typewriter is something you may or may not have ever seen in real life, but it's what we used before there were computers, believe it or not. It's a big machine, and every single key on it had a letter. So you'd have to hit the letter pretty hard, hit that key, and then a letter would come up on a piece of paper. So when you write on a computer, it sounds like this. When you write on a typewriter, it goes click, clack, clickety, clack, clickety, clack. And then at the very end of a line, it goes ding. So typewriters are some noisy, noisy business, but they're really, really important in this book. So here we go. Click, clack, moo, Cows That Type, written by me, Doreen Cronin, and illustrated by Miss Betsy Lewin, who is also a Brooklyn girl. Ready? There's that typewriter again. The art is so important to take you through a story. Click, clack, moo, cows that type. The very first thing that Betsy does, she has that cow look right at you so that you know that you should come into that story. Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. At first, he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible. Click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety-clack, moo. You probably know that part already. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. It was bad enough the cows had found the old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets. No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. So the cows went on strike. They left a note on the barn door. Sorry, we're closed. No milk today. No milk today, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. I think you're out there doing that. I think I could feel you. The next day, he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. I have a big giant cow on this page and then little tiny Farmer Brown over here. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. Closed, no milk, no eggs. No eggs, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard them. How does it go? It goes click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. Cows that type, hens on strike. Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. And you have to look for him on this page. He's so mad. We have those big old cows right here again. They don't look mad. And then you have to look all the way down here to find Farmer Brown. Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. And you can imagine where he's going. He's going to walk up that long, long path and go all the way up to the barn with that message. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. It said, Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door. We'll send Duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows. Farmer Brown decided this was a good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door, and then he waited for Duck to come with that typewriter. The next morning, he got a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks. Click, clack, quack. Click, clack, quack. Clickety, clack, quack. Now, it's not quite over. What do you think happens? This is the very last page of the book, and there's no words on it. Betsy, the illustrator, tells you the end of the story without any words, because you don't always need them when you're trying to tell a story. If you're at home and you want to tell somebody's story and you want to write a story, you can do it with pictures, right? Maybe 1 word, 2 words. You don't have to have a lot of words to tell a story. And to end a story, you might not need any words at all. So if you look at this page, again, where I wrote nothing, think about how you would end this story. We used a lot of sounds in this story, a lot of clicks, a lot of clacks, a lot of moos, a lot of clickities, right? And some quacks. Can you think of a sound that would end this story? Just one sound. So think about that. What I want to do now is go back in that story and look more closely at the art, because there's so much good stuff in there, and probably some stuff we might not have noticed the first time around. So forget the words on this page. This is the very first page of the book. And what I want you to look at is his face, right? A little bit of a glare. I'm sorry, you guys. There he is. There's no glare. Look at Farmer Brown's face. Even if you don't remember the words on the page, and you certainly don't have to, we can kind of tell that he's got a problem. Look at that face. His eyes, his eyebrows are all slanted. They're down, right? His mouth is down. Even his ears are kind of down. This is not a happy face. And when you go through a story, look at the faces of the characters and see how they're feeling. And that'll give you a lot of information about the story. And you could forget these words and make up your own and just say, Farmer Brown is really mad. Now, Farmer Brown gets a note on this page. That's not what I want to look at. I want to look at the art again. Let's look and see how Betsy uses the shadow of Farmer Brown. You got a shadow that goes all the way down here. There's his nose, there's his beard. It comes all the way down. And even on his face, we can see the shadow of his hat. It's casting a shadow right there. So in the artwork, in any book that you're looking at, go back in and see if there's any shadows in there too. Now, this page has great faces and great shadows. This side of the page, there we go. Let's scooch over here. We've got lots of cow faces, right? If you read those faces the way that we read Farmer Brown's face, they don't look unhappy to me. They don't look, well, I think they look nervous, right? So even if you don't remember the words on this page, you could say, ooh, those cows, they don't look so happy. There it is. They don't look so happy. They look a little nervous to me. On this side of the page, we don't have a face to look at. We only have a shadow this time. Change that light. There you go. We only have a shadow this time. We don't have Farmer Brown's face. We only have Farmer Brown's body. And his body and his shadow is giving us all this emotion about how he's feeling on that page. So his hands are up in the air. They're like fists, right? His legs are up in the air. He's stomping and stomping his feet, which we can see. And this may or may not be his hair. Could be his hat. We don't really know. That's how we know that he's mad, because I didn't write any words about it. You go back in and you read the art. The other thing that you can do is try to imagine what his face looks like. If we could see his face here, what would it look like? See if you can draw a picture of what you think Farmer Brown's face looks like. Do you think he has a smile on his face? Or do you think he has a face like he has in the front of the book? Here we just have some pigs and cows. This page, we get to see that big, big cow again, and it's one of those pages where you kind of have to look, right? You kind of have to look for Farmer Brown. This page, again, really important. If you're looking at a story again by yourself, so there's nobody there maybe to tell you the words, you don't need them, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to look at those faces and look at the cows. Do those cows look happy? That is what angry cows look like. They are upset. Look at this guy right here. Look at that face. That is an upset chicken. That is not a happy chicken. So all the faces are giving you more information, and Betsy does it again. Betsy uses shadows down here, and even every chicken has chicken leg shadows, right? All this great detail. This page, Farmer Brown is so angry. If you don't remember the words and you don't know the words, it doesn't matter, because when you find him, you got to look a little bit. What is his body doing? His hands are up in the air and he's running. He's so frustrated. So just find his body. And again, we don't see his face. We're looking at his body. This page, I want you to do the sound effects. So just imagine any book you read. What do you think that page sounds like? This page probably sounds like click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, ding, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, ding. You can see that with any book. Fill in those sounds. We watch Duck go up that trail. This page, the art is so different on this page because it's all one color, right? And I think Betsy's telling us that this is probably a quiet page, right? All those animals, and again, look at their shadows. We've got shadows for everybody. All their ears are up. Every single animal has their ears up and turned towards the door. You can kind of feel how quiet this page is. It's a big old duck right there. You have another page with these beautiful, beautiful purples. If you do not know what an electric blanket is, and that was important in the story too, then look at the art. There it is. Every one of these blankets has a cord and a red light. What does that tell you? I think it probably tells you that they're plugged in. An electric blanket is a blanket that you plug into the wall. You probably don't see those too much anymore either. You also have to be kind of careful and look down here. We have chickens, 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 chickens. That, my friends, is a duck. You can see his duck feet. And there we go, last page. Now we have all these ducks. We didn't see them before. We only knew the one, but now we know there's more. And then finally, that last page, and we talked about this, there it is, with the art and how much the art can tell a story, add to a story, and even end a story. All right, you guys, thank you so much for reading with me. I hope you read aloud. I hope you clicked and you clacked and you mooed with me. I'm just so happy to have spent some time with you guys today. Thank you.
That was amazing. That was so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have a few questions for you. And then I think I'm going to be getting a couple questions that other people asked in a few minutes. But first, I just want to know, what was your inspiration for this story?
Well, you know, most people assume, or most kids assume, that I grew up on a farm. Because it's in Click Clack Moo, it's in all the other books, it's in Chicken Squad. The kids are like, oh, I know, you grew up on a farm. I did not grow up on a farm. I did not see a real life cow in person till I was in college. And where I went to college was in the middle of Pennsylvania. I went to Penn State. So if you have any Nittany Lions out there, I went to Penn State. And there were dairy farms all over the place. So I would see cows really for the first time in my life, and I would see them a lot. And in my writing classes, this was many, many years ago, we didn't have computers, we had typewriters. So in writing class, there would be like 20 of us typing. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, ding, click, clack. And you'd look out the window and there would be cows. And so at some point, my brain put together the cows and the typewriters. And then that's where that book came from.
I love that so much. Okay. Well, another question is, what is your favorite farm animal? Because you have so many incredible characters in this book. You've got the chickens, the ducks, the cows.
I know, I love them. I love writing about farm animals because they're all so different from one another, right? They all move different. They all sound different. Their commonality is really just where they live, right? They eat different things. Everything about them is so different. They're everything. But to me, cows are the most expressive because they have those big, beautiful eyes. And despite their size, maybe even because of their size, they have this wobbly kind of grace in the way that they move, which is kind of a grace all their own. You know, it's cow grace. But they move in such a particular way that I think they're just fascinating, absolutely fascinating and beautiful to watch.
I love that. Okay, so that makes sense that those would be the favorite. So I have a question from the girls. It's, how long did it take to write this book?
Ooh, okay. This is a funny question because most books take me a year and a half, sometimes 2. Click Clack Moo, I actually wrote in 20 minutes. Like, boom. I just sat down one night. It was the middle of the night. And sometimes stories do that. Sometimes stories, well, I should say sometimes. One time that happened to me. This story just came. I just sat down at not my typewriter, my computer in the middle of the night. And I heard that sound, that click, clack, and moo, those cows and those typewriters from my college days. And then it came out in 20 minutes, but never again, not even close.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, okay, another question. Do you have any pets yourself?
I do. I did not. I have a dog named Buster, and he was a rescue dog. We got him, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. He's part Chihuahua and like part German Shepherd. Like he's just like this really, he looks like a really tiny German Shepherd almost. He's a mix.
That's so cute. I love that.
He does this thing where when he's excited, he tries to smile, and then it makes him sneeze. So if he likes you and you come into the house, he will actually sneeze all over you, and he can't stop. It's like it's an uncontrollable sneezing. I don't know any other dogs that do that, but I know every dog has their like particular personality.
That might be one of the cutest things I've ever heard. I love that. Okay.
He's loud. I made him stay outside the room because he's too loud.
Okay, so this one's a really cool question. How did you connect with Betsy Lewin, the illustrator?
Oh, that's a great question. A lot of times when you do picture books, you never meet the illustrator. Never. The editor decides who's going to illustrate the book. You know, illustrators have so many different styles, so they match a style with a certain story to a style to the story. And Betsy and I did not meet while the book was being illustrated. And it was my first book, so nobody calls you every day and says, what's happening with your book, really? And then finally, when we realized we both lived in Brooklyn, I guess at the time I lived in Manhattan, but we finally met for lunch after the book had been done. So, and then ever since then, we've done however many 17 or 18 books together. So it's a different, such a great friendship and partnership. But back then it was just, we were complete strangers.
Wow. Well, they came out amazing. They did a very good job.
Right. So when I write a story, I have no idea what anybody looks like. And I didn't know I didn't know what the cows were going to, I had no idea. I don't see pictures. I only see words. And so when I got them, I got the sketches and I was like, oh, that's what the cows look like. As if they had already kind of existed, right? And it felt like such a perfect match to me. So it's the best part about writing sometimes is actually seeing the art for the first time.
That's awesome. So, we have 2 questions about your book. Well, 2 more. So first, how many books have you written?
Ooh,
Do you know?
I have written, I think, about 30 books.
Wow. Impressive. Good job. And then the other one is...
I'm not doing it quickly, but I am doing it, I guess, every year. So
the other question is, will you make a new Click Clack book soon?
There is a new Click Clack book coming out in September. Or maybe even next month. And it's called Click Clack Good Night, which is, as you can imagine, maybe Duck is not the best bedtime creature because it's a little mischievous. So it's a good night book with all of our, friends from the farm. So it's a lot of fun. And I think it's about a month from now. And hopefully there'll be more after that. We'll see.
That sounds really, really nice. Okay. Oh, there's so many questions coming in. Okay. Did you write the book after college or during?
I wrote that book so long after college. It was probably 9 or 10 years. So that story, I didn't come up with that story while I was there in college, but years later. Sometimes things in your brain, they take a long time to kind of come together. But when they did, it was probably 10 years after college.
Well, it came out perfect. What made you decide to be a writer?
When I was very young, when I was in the first grade or so, I was a very quiet kid in school. I loved school, but I was not a person to raise my hands, volunteer. I didn't like to do any of that. But my first grade teacher said, well, it's okay to not express yourself out loud. How about you write stuff down for me? And she started having me do extra homework and write stories and write poems and write songs. And she literally looked at this little 6-year-old me and said, oh, I see you're a writer. And that was it. That was it. She told me that's what I was. And I guess I just embraced it and believed it. And that's what I eventually became.
That's amazing. That's so cool. That's a great teacher as well.
She was incredible. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have the last question for you. And
Okay.
it's, what is your favorite children's book that you didn't write yourself?
The favorite book that I didn't write myself? Okay. Oh gosh, there's so many. Harry Potter is one of my all-time favorites. I love those books so much, and my kids and I have read them over and over again. And my favorite picture book is Harold and the Purple Crayon. And that's an old one. Like, that's from the 60s. It's probably just a little bit older than me, that book, but it's my all-time favorite picture book. It's just simple and beautiful, and it's about imagination and color, and it's gorgeous.
I feel like I've heard of that. I'm going to look it up as soon as this is over.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it, Ella. Like, it's a classic book.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for answering these questions. And thank you so much for reading your book to us. Okay.
Take care.
Guys, remember.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. So girls, remember, if you want to read more of her books, go to DoreenCronin.com. She has them all listed there, and there's so many fun ones. And you would know that there were so many, and there's 30 apparently. So, okay. We have a lot more that you guys can do to continue to engage in Girl Scouts. One of the first things is you can sign your girl up for the Make New Friends 4-part kindergarten series. It's a kindergarten readiness series that'll help you or your girl get ready for it. And also, if you really enjoyed today's event, there's going to be a ton of other read-along events throughout the rest of the summer, so make sure to sign up for those. And the last one is that if you want to get activities and other sets from the Ready Set Kindergarten collection, make sure to visit the Girl Scout shop. There should be a link to that in one of your tabs on the right. So just kind of to close things up, we really want to encourage you to continue to engage with Girl Scouts because we're here for you right now. And if you join us next week, we're going to have How Do You Feel by Lizzie Rockwell being read August 12th at 12 p.m. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you guys have a great one. Bye. Thank you, girls.